Today I'm showing you how I'm using the coordinating dies and DSP from this Otterly Adorable DSP and the Otterly Amazing Stampin' Die Set. And I hope you check out everybody on the Inspiration Collaboration Design Team to see how they used coordinating dies and DSP as well. Okay, so I picked this very busy background and I'm going to divide it. And then I picked out the water print that was the closest that I wanted to use as well. And I'm pulling in 2 pieces of early espresso cardstock, and I'm going to leave them with a 1-inch frame all the way around. So I'm gutting them and cutting out a 10 by 10 square from the inside. I did that by putting my cardstock in at 1 inch and then cutting from the 11 up to the 1, and then again at 1 inch and then up from the 11 inches to the 1 inch all the way around. And I did this to both pieces of cardstock, and that gave me my 1-inch frame. And I'm saving that inside part to make some photo mats. Next, I'm bringing in this busy background piece, and I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off the side and a 1/2 inch off the top because I have that frame that I want to mat the whole thing with. And then I'm going to cut it at about 4.5 inches here that will go on my right hand side, and then the remainder will go on my left hand page. And then for the water, I cut a 1/2 inch off the top, and then I'm figuring I'm going to cut this at about 4 3/4 inch, and that will give me about a 1/4 inch overlap on the water and the rest of the busy background. I'll let you see how it lays out now. This is kind of how it will look. And I've really tried to figure out the best way to incorporate these busy backgrounds, and I think I like how this is going to turn out. So I like the matting around it. It kind of grounds the whole thing a little bit. And then I think I chose too dark of a color here, but I chose one of my Stampin' Rights. I believe it was the Lost Lagoon. And I just kind of continued where that water line was. And I did the same to the other side. Not sure if I really love it or not, but I wanted to mark so I had an idea of where I wanted to make the darker looking water, because on that busy background, the water looked really light at the top and then it looked much darker towards the bottom. And I thought maybe it was the Lost Lagoon. So I figured I'd bring in one of my blending brushes and kind of go through and add some darkness to the bottom of that water. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down that busy background with my otters on my frame and leave a 1/4 inch around the side and top. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the right hand side. So every month for the Inspiration Collaboration Design Team, we kind of figure out a new thing that we want to experiment with. And I know I used these otters last month for the online exclusives, but then this month we were featuring how the dies go with DSP. And I still love these otters. I keep playing with them, and I just think they're absolutely adorable. And I have some pictures of my granddaughters. They were at somebody's house and they were out in a boat and in a pond. And I thought, oh, this would be the cutest thing to put it on. So I need to find where those pictures are. But I thought I'll go ahead and work on making this layout, and then I can find some pictures either from that day or maybe another day where they were at somebody's pond. Okay, so after I did that blending and I darkened it up, it's not an exact match, but I think it'll be all right because I'm still going to put some photo mats down, and you get the idea. Darker water at the bottom, lighter water at the top. And so I go ahead and glue this frame down, still keeping that 1/4 inch around the outside, and Then I'm also going to take my Stampin' Right in a minute and extend that line so that it kind of ties the two pieces together as well. And you can see having a little bit overlap was perfect. It gives some stability to the page. I wouldn't want it to be just the exact cut. It worked perfect. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was one otter that got cut in half, and he was towards the bottom of that busy page. So I will make sure that my photo mats cover that up so it does not become obvious that I chopped the otter in half. So here is where I'm extending that line a little bit, trying to kind of blend it all together and make it appear as if it is all one big break between the light and the dark. So there's the two pages. It's okay that it's not the exact same shades. We're going to bring in those photo mats next. So I'm going to take these photo mats and cut them down. And I usually work with 4x6 photos, and I like to keep them 4x6. So I'm making some mats that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I did cut a couple of mats that are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Every once in a while I use a small one, or a small one is also a good place to put some journaling sometimes. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of these, but I can see how they would lay out if I wanted to use all 5 that I have cut. So here's my otters and the ones that I'm going to use with those dies. So since I'm bringing in my mini die cutting and embossing machine, I need to really cut these papers down and just get rid of the rest of the stuff, the rest of the otters and busyness, and just pull out the ones that I need to match up with my dies. And so let's get this guy set up, and here we go. We will start with the 2 otters, I believe. Nope, we're going to start with just 1 otter. Okay, so I line him up, and what I like to do, there is not a lot of room that's left outside of the image with these dies. So you really want to line it up well. And I like to take some sort of washi tape or masking tape and glue and hold it down. That way I know it won't wiggle at all, and I will get a really good cut. And then I'm going to bring my next little guy. This one just always looks so cheery and happy. I like this guy. And I use the masking tape on that as well to hold it down. This is a really low tack tape that Close to My Heart carried. And it reminds me of masking tape, but even less sticky. But what I like about it is it doesn't stick to the paper and then tear it. It is very easy to remove, but it'll hold something in place. And last but not least, these 2 little otters that are in the little weeds and things, and we'll take them and put them through the die cutting machine. I'm really enjoying having such a small die cutting machine just right handy on my desk because it doesn't take up that much room. I do pull out my full-size machine quite a bit, but this one is really handy to have in place. Okay, so I'm going to lay these out on my layout where I think I'm going to have them. And do you know what I'm noticing? When I use this really busy background paper, there's really no need for a bunch of embellishing clusters. Like, the background paper pretty much does it for me. So it's the decorations, and I could come in with some of those little what were they called, those little embellishing pieces that match, that look like shiny iridescent stones, but I didn't even get those out. The background was busy enough that it just kind of worked to embellish the layout just with the paper. So that made it kind of a fast layout. So if you need something that's a really quick go-to type layout, I would say that these busy papers might be a really good answer for that. So my line on that right side was pretty thick. I wasn't sure if I should draw it to the top or the bottom, and I filled it in. So I thought, well, I'll stick this guy right there over the top where I wasn't sure if I did the right thing or not, and it just kind of blends it in. And where I'm putting this pair of otters right here, it kind of extends that grassy knoll, and you don't really notice the break between the papers quite as obviously. And I did have to take away one of those small photo spots, but I think that's all right. Okay, next I'm bringing in my mini alphabet dies, and I've used these quite a bit on my layouts recently because it is so handy. It cuts out the whole alphabet at once, and several of the letters it cuts out double. So this Otterly Adorable title that I'm using, I did not have to run it through a second time. All of the letters in that title cut the first pass through. How nice is that? Okay, and then I brought in my T ruler again, and I just drew some lines so that I could glue these letters down on a straight line. And I kind of measured and figured out where about halfway would be. And what I like to do when I'm gluing down titles, or when I'm using stickers for titles or something like that, is find the center and then count my letters and pick that middle letter or a pair of middle letters and put that down first, and then work my way out from the center. Now, the only thing I would warn you about with that is sometimes you have super skinny letters and sometimes you have super wide letters. So you might have to account for the width of some of your letters, but generally that's the principle that I abide by. I mark the center and then I work my way out from the center with my letters. And then the word adorable had an even number of letters. So I start with that middle pair of letters and work those from the center and work out, if that makes sense. And this is one quick layout. I'm going to erase my pencil lines so that you can't see that I had a little bit of assistance gluing those all down, and then I will finish putting up the rest of the title. So this was the collaboration with the Inspiration Collaboration Design Team, and I hope you'll make sure that you go check out the videos from the other ladies. And I think most of us all used different DSP and die combinations. So it'd be really interesting if you can see all the possibilities that we have. I love it when I get so much value that I can use the dies with my paper and I can use them with my stamps. So make sure you go check out all the other ladies, and here's one last look at the full layout.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more crafty inspiration.